that way too much. Time to cut it off. You get the idea. I know that's not what the song was about, pretending, because he had lost his girlfriend. He wanted everybody to think he still had a girlfriend. That's what he's pretending about. The idea is things that we pretend about. And pretending in our faith is where we're headed this morning. But I thought that it might get a kick out of that. Besides that, I wanted to put that earword there so that all day long now that you're going to be thinking about it. The first line of that, yes, I'm the great pretender. And hopefully, that it won't take long for you to get that out of your mind, because I got a feeling that the longer you think that maybe that's me, the longer it's going to stay there, which is probably not the best thing in the world. But I can tell you it's been with me all week. What's that tell you? One of the things that I've read some really, really good quotes this week about the hypocrisy, and some really good stuff about the ways that we put ourselves, and it's not just individual hypocrisy, because part of it also is church hypocrisy, because the church can do things that is the same way. It's pretending. And sometimes we get real involved in pretending to be the church as much as we do as pretending to be church people. So you listen to Gary read the parable we were talking about this morning. Two people go up to pray. And this is kind of a different type parable. This is a teaching parable, and the idea is that normally it's a story about something, but here we get to listen in on private conversations, and I want to read you just a word about that somebody very smart said. When a man prays alone, he is revealed, or would be if we could get inside his mind. In prayer, he does not pose or pretend, or at least not so easily as in life among men. The fact that makes this story quiver is Jesus, who knew the secret heart. Allows us to overhear the secret prayers of two men. I had this little thing here that I want to show you, this idea of what if pastors, I think that, I forgot to tell you this, that we've got this Wi-Fi connection, see, so that all the people that hear, I know all about your daily devotions. See, I can listen in on your conversations with God. They give us one of those at seminary. Is that a scary thought to you? It is, isn't it? All that personal stuff that you bring to God, and all the ways that you take it there, and all the things that we do. Yeah. What would happen if somebody could actually tap in and listen in on your prayers and your daily devotional time? Is there any pretense in any of that? I mean, we've listened to the two prayers of the people involved this morning, the Pharisee and the tax collector. And I'll say this about both of them. Neither one of them lied. They just give the honest assessment of the way that they navigate the world. Both of them said exactly the truth. There was no lying there. So, I mean, in a sense, they weren't pretending at all. Well, maybe just a little. Jesus hated hypocrites more than you do. That's a pretty strong statement, isn't it? Sometimes we tolerate them. Jesus wouldn't tolerate them. Calls them out. Puts them right where they're at. Puts them right in their place. Won't stand for it. You can't be something today in church that you're not tomorrow out there. If you are, you're engaging in hypocrisy. There's a story that says that members of the Methodist Women's Circle in a small Midwestern town, they became concerned over one of their people, a newly widowed person who they hadn't seen in church anymore. They knew they had 3 kids. And so they kind of found out what by just listening and checking on them and whatever. One of them come up with the idea that I then went back and reported to the rest of them. I know why they're not coming. It's because they're kids. She's embarrassed because her kids don't have really anything to wear. Their clothes aren't appropriate for church. And so the women's circle got together and they took care of this and they made the clothes for them, took them to them, gave them to them, expecting that they would be back in Sunday school next week. And when they didn't show up, they went back to the house and said, "What's the problem?" "Oh, there's no problem. The kids look so good, we sent them to the Presbyterian church." Jesus is in full teach mode in this whole section from Luke 10 all the way through to the time he heads to Jericho, which will be in 2 weeks, two lectionary cycles. He has got his disciples together and pretty much told them the basis of your faith is going to be according to the prayer life that you get established. And so they've asked him, back in the 11th, Luke 11, the disciples come to him and said, "Teach us to pray." And last week we had the widow, the persistent prayer. So we were looking at the essence of our prayers, because this goes back to chapter 11, teach us to pray. And he said, when you pray, say this: "Father, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our sins, as we forgive everyone indebted to us. And do not bring us to the time of trial." That's what's recorded in Luke, chapter 11. And the very next statement that he makes is that you should do this often. And so he starts to tell the parable of the need for persistent prayer. So today's where he tells the parable, it's not so much when to pray, and it's not so much what to pray. It's how your attitude of prayer should be. It's the essence of your prayer. And so he puts the two people out there and lets us look into their lives, and we get to listen to their prayers, which I get to listen to all the time because I got one of those cats that go on. You get to listen to the prayers, and then he teaches us about what is actually wrong with this. And it's the hypocrisy. Hypocrisy is the big category, the big overarching category of things that stand in the way of grace. Hypocrisy is in the big category of things that stand in the way of grace. Grace is like this river that flows from God through Christ to you. Hypocrisy is the big category that gets in the way of grace coming to you, because it raises its head in so many different ways. One of the best ways that hypocrisy is shown in the church is pride. Pride is our pride will not allow us to get out of the way of things. Our pride will keep us involved in things when we shouldn't be there anymore, when we've outlived our usefulness. Our pride keeps us from allowing people to reach their full potential, because that's my job, right? I own that space. I do that job. This is mine. You're new here in the church or anywhere else, so you have to pay your dues. We'll be ready to listen to you in about 3 years. First, you got to clean the nursery, and you make coffee on Sunday mornings. Not that these jobs are demeaning jobs. It's just that we have ownership of this stuff, and pride won't let us give them up and let somebody else who probably can make coffee better than you make the coffee, or be in charge, or somebody that knows more about numbers be on finance, or somebody that knows how all the operation systems of the building need to go be chair of trustees or be on the trustees. No, because that would be too good. Our pride gets in the way and says, no, you haven't been here long enough. I just got back from I don't even know, I've been to so many places where we're in Chicago, leadership training. And they were talking about the changing culture of today. And you've got the kids today. You know who they are and you know what they're like. When kids get an idea that they want to run with, how long will they wait? No, they will wait. No. And so we're finding this as serving on the board of ordained ministry. What we're finding is that we've got this pipeline that we want to put people into and say, I know that you got a call to ministry. Here's the process that we want, and then we'll spit you out at the end. Okay? So you get in this pipeline, and this will work. And what we're finding out with the younger generation, they say, I got a call to ministry, and I got a passion. I want to do this and this and this, and I want to do all kinds of things. And we tell them, wait 7 years. And they've moved on. It's a system that will work for them. But pride keeps us doing and putting things in place that we'd be better off if we didn't do it. And that falls under the idea of hypocrisy, that we pretend this is the best way to do it, or we pretend that somebody else has ownership of it, even though we know better than that. So pride is a big one. Idolatry is another one that comes under that category. You know, sometimes what gets in our way, this grace that God has started this river of grace towards you, and it's there, and the guy says, you heard it today, Lord, have mercy on me, a sinner. So the grace is free flowing, and it's there for the taking. But idolatry won't let us get there because we have set something else up above God. Many times, we set the object of our worship ahead, or the things, the way we worship up ahead of the object of our worship. Let me give you an example of that. You know, that we think that we can't, and I pick on the church a little bit because, first of all, we're easy targets. We really are. We can pick on us because it's sometimes that we're the example of what's wrong. Now, we can be the example of what's right, as long as we understand that we need to eliminate hypocrisy, those who think they were right, those who thought more highly of themselves than they should. Those are the people that Jesus is speaking to. Kind of funny that he shifts his gears right there at the end. You know, and right at 18, he's talking to his disciples. Verses 1 through 8, Jesus is talking to disciples. And then in verse 9 it says, and then Jesus spoke to some different people who were justified in their own sight, in their own eyes. And people who thought more of themselves than they should. But the idolatry that I was talking about is when we set ourselves up and we worship the process more than we worship the object. So sometimes we can get real good at doing church. This is where I'm getting at. We get better at doing church than we are at being the church. Because being the church means that we're about the business of loving and caring and sharing and all the things that we say that we're going to be about doing. But sometimes we get so involved in doing church, then it's got to be, here's the systems that we have in place, and don't even ask me to change them. Because we're not going to. Because we've always done them this way. And sometimes we have to think a little bit differently if we're going to get to the end. The parable this morning is a message really for all of us. But if Jesus is talking about the way to pray, the person that stands off by himself, not part of the community, the one that puts his head up and lifts himself up, he's getting his reward right then. People will see him. Jesus has already warned about that. That's your reward right there, being seen. But everything about him is I fast more than I should, because he wasn't required to fast twice a week. The law called for him to fast on the days that they were told to fast. And he gives more than what he needs to the offering plate. And he probably serves on the board of directors for his church, and he probably, is head of the social group too. You never know what this guy, but he's pretty full of himself. But he hasn't lied about his stats. His mind is in the wrong place. Instead of just opening himself up and being vulnerable and saying, I really need the grace that God offers us because I am a sinner. That's that capital word letter that's right in the middle of sinner. I. We can't blame anybody else. In James, James tells us right here in 4:10, humble ourselves before the Lord, and He will lift you up. We don't have to worry about lifting ourselves up. If we're humble as we do go about our business, if we go about our business with humility, whatever that is, inside the church, outside the church,